Thank you. I'm ready to learn.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Morning, Mary. Morning, Maureen. Morning, Maurice. Yeah, thank you, Maureen. Nice to meet you on the chat. I hope you all had a good weekend. Looking forward to interacting with each one of you. And of course, thank you, Dan, for organizing this webinar and also opening the bridge for us for people to be able to join.
Like what you do, then I correct.
I believe we can now start, just to respect the people who joined early and on time. Thank you all, and I'm very happy to be able to facilitate this webinar today. It's a two-day webinar on SWOT analysis, a very interesting topic, and I'm sure we'll share experience, we'll learn a lot, and I hope we'll also be able to implement the skills or the experiences that we will share from each other at our workplaces, at our personal lives, at that personal level, or even in the society. I think it's a real great opportunity. Who would like to pray for us? Anyone? So it's nice to start off with a word of prayer. Mary, Maurice, Joseph, Maureen, anyone? Feel free. Okay, let us pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, we want to come in front of you this morning, thanking you for your goodness and for your care and love towards our lives. I want to ask you that even as we begin this webinar, we ask you, Lord, to be with us. We know that there are many competing priorities in our lives, at our place of work, in the society, but God, we ask you that you bring us in oneness and togetherness so that we can learn and share for the time that is set aside for us. I also want to thank KCHRP for facilitating this and bringing this seminar to us. We ask you, Lord, that you continue to bless this institute. For it's in Jesus' name I pray, trusting and believing. Amen. Great. So let's do ones whom we have not interacted with before. My name is Catherine Omwangi. I'm a HR practitioner, an executive coach, and one of the things that I love most about is training, facilitating training, preparing training, and making sure that I can bring that skill to facilitate and to be able to share. So today, as I have mentioned, is that we'll talk about SWOT analysis, and we will put that over the next 2 days, today and tomorrow, and we'll be able just to wrap up very well and for us to go out really sharpened. So I ask for your indulgence. We are a small class around how we can all participate. If you can unmute or put your suggestions on chat, then it makes it much more worthwhile, because it's in sharing is when we get to really understand and get to share those experiences and learn. The webinar is being recorded, so you're also able to get these notes on the cloud from the LMS system of ACHRP. You're able to get the recording and just listen to it at your own time, or just play back to things you found important and you want to refer to. So that's good. So when expectations from anyone, expectations, are there any, when you saw this webinar being advertised, SWOT analysis, what came to mind? What came to mind? Anything that that really drew your attention that you would like to, for me to lay emphasis? Anyone?
Yes, yeah, sure. Thank you. You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. For me, by and large, when I saw it, I then said it's an opportunity to share experiences. We work for different organizations, and as such, it's good to understand what's happening in other organizations, understand the strength which exists within the diversity. And of course, I'll be picking some learning points which I can also implement.
Fantastic. Yeah. What's happening out there in the industry? What are people doing? Pick up good practices and really well. It's a real good objective, Maurice, because then we live in unprecedented times. You know, around VUCA, we are really trying to get ahead of competition, get ahead of ourselves, make sure that we are remaining relevant in this industry, but in whatever industry that you are in. But how do you make sure that you can support your business adequately? And SWOT analysis is one of the key pillars and tools that you can use to make sure that you are analyzing your business and hedging forward to make sure that you're doing that. Thank you. A very great objective. Thank you, Maurice. Someone else, anybody else who would like to share their objectives, or what you'd really like to take away from this webinar? Anyone else? Okay, you can always put them on the chat. So when we talk about SWOT analysis, what's really, what do we want to take? What's important about it? Why should we use it? We hear it all the time, so that will be our 2-day discussion. We'll really understand what SWOT analysis is, the elements of a SWOT analysis, list of SWOT objectives of the SWOT, describe what SWOT analysis, who needs the SWOT analysis, very important, like what Maurice has actually alluded to, explain the internal and external factors, describe the SWOT analysis quadrants. We also look at TOS analysis, very interesting, and how they actually all work together between SWOT and TOS. Describe the various quadrants combination, explain the steps of doing a SWOT analysis, really coming out with practical tools of how you can be able to do that. Explain the role of brainstorming in a SWOT analysis, drive a SWOT-driven strategic plan. You want to go out there and say, well, I understand now what SWOT is. How do I go further and develop our strategic plan for the organization? And consideration for effective SWOT analysis. What can you do to really make sure that you have an effective SWOT analysis by the time you are starting to analyze all this? List the benefits and pitfalls. What are some of the challenges that you can face in a SWOT analysis, common mistakes and how we can avoid them, and some of the myths as well around SWOT analysis, and really list some of the tips for an effective SWOT analysis. So really an interesting topic that for any HR, any business leader, that you need to understand what it is. And it has been used over and over many years. When at the beginning of every year you want to take stock of your success and some of your challenges as an individual. You know, as Catherine, the year is coming to an end. You know, I had plans and for the year. Have I achieved them? You know, what are some of the things that might have made me maybe not achieve some of my own personal plans? And I come and say, well, let me do a SWOT analysis and say, where would it have gone wrong? Or maybe I have excelled as well in the plans that I had put in place, or you had put in place, and you go back and say, wow, look at me, and I've been able to do so much compared to what I had actually intended to do. What supported me? What were the external factors? What were the internal factors that really helped me achieve these plans that I had put in place? That's the same thing. Your key performance indicators at your workplace, you should actually analyze them before you agree with your employer that indeed these are targets that I'm happy with. I think I can be able to achieve them, you know. But half the time is when we just say, well, I'm so used to this job, I really understand what this job says. But we need to go further and show that we've really understood them and we are happy with them, so that if anything goes bad, we can go back and say, wow, you know, I have a point of reference for me to go back and say, well, I did a SWOT analysis, but now things have really changed. And where have they changed within these 4 quadrants of the SWOT analysis? So it's a real viable and live tool that you can use all the time in many quarters of your day-to-day life at the workplace, as I said, and in the society. So let's start off with an introduction and a bit of a case study, you know, just to set the pace. And feel free to chime in, to unmute, so that we have a nice discussion. So Globus Inc. is a leading manufacturer of baby products. Baby products can be anything. It has decided, so that is what they are known for. It has decided to venture into the market of cosmetics with the launch of a new brand of cosmetic. Glaze is their new product in the market. However, before Globus can actually make the final decision of venturing into the new market, it needs to find out things that are working in its favor and the aspects that can lead to failure of the new venture, isn't it? That's all we do, you know. But before we get into a new business, what can we do to make sure that we are pretty sure, almost 100% sure that we are going to be successful in running this business? And SWOT analysis would be one of the key elements that we can use to see whether we are going to be successful. Many a times is when, let's say, maybe majority of us, and many of us, even in employment, we do have side business, you know, a side hustle, as we like to call it, you know, just to supplement our income, or it's something that we are very passionate about, so we do it with ease. But some of those businesses, before you get into, you do some research and you do some homework, and you know, all that homework, all that research that you are doing actually is part of your SWOT analysis. You might not put it down on pen and paper, but when you put it down in pen and paper, it has more clarity. You know, I want to venture into transport business. How does that look like? You know, you do all that, all those analyses, you know. Sometimes you talk to people and tell you, no, transport business, no. Matatu business, no. Long distance business, no. These are some of the things that we know. And majority of those things sometimes are just perceptions of what people have seen and what people have had, compared to you going out and saying, whoa, you know, this is something that I think I can do because I have actually analyzed and I have felt that it is important for me. Let's move on. So what do you think that Globus should do to analyze this situation of moving from baby manufacturing and they want to venture into a new line of business of cosmetics? What they can do is carry out a SWOT analysis. You know, Globus can do a SWOT analysis of its position in the market. Where are we in the position of the market? What is our brand known for? We want to venture into this business of cosmetics. What are we really going to be looking into? What are some of the things that that we need to understand and know in the cosmetics industry? So carrying out a SWOT analysis will help Globers understand the company's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. That's what a SWOT. That's what the acronym stands for. S stands for strengths. W stands for weaknesses. O stands for opportunities, and P stands for strength. Something that I'm sure we all know, whether if you went to a business school or is at the College of Human Resource and you are doing strategy or maybe one of the subjects that are in business. The SWOT analysis is a very common topic that people discuss. So SWOT analysis would help Globers understand its strengths that would be helpful in the new venture, its weaknesses that need to be overcome to be successful in launching the new products. Those are the cosmetics, the opportunities that it has at hand to succeed in the new venture, and the threats that are perceived to the success of this new venture. What are some of those threats that are perceived? Some are real, and some are just perceptions, like what we do. What are these opportunities? What are the chances that people have not grabbed in the market for us to be able to take it and run and go with it and be successful? What are internally, what are our strengths? What are we known for? And our weaknesses, what should we be aware of that going into this market? Maybe there are many more cosmetic businesses, but anyway, we are going to look into that in a lot of depth. But this is what Globers can do, and I'm sure it's something that you have done over time. Okay, so it's always nice to find out the history, a bit of a history of SWOT analysis, where it came from, so that we actually appreciate that it was not, people have put a lot of hard work behind it, before it is actually patented and people can use this process or these quadrants for people to understand and pitch their business and put things around there. So SWOT analysis techniques was founded by Albert Humphrey, who led a research project at Stanford University in the 1960s and 1970s. So you can imagine many years, about 50, 70 years, 50 to 60 years going into when this technique was actually used. He used the data from Fortune 500 companies to identify why corporate planning failed. Fortune 500 companies are those very successful companies, big multinationals. They turn into big multinationals. They are great brands people really like to identify themselves with, and most of them are coming from Europe. I don't know. It's actually interesting. I need to find out whether any African company is in the list of Fortune 500. Anybody who knows, please let us know. So what happened is that further on, his research identified a number of key areas that were critical to corporate planning, and the tools used to explore each of the critical areas was called SWOT analysis, and then he went on now to identify that. So so Albert and the original research team used the following categories. What is good in the present is satisfactory. Good in the future is an opportunity. Bad in the present is a fault, and bad in the future is a threat. So they actually went further and said, how does it look? So he said, what is good in the present right now? What is good for us is satisfactory. People are happy to use what is good right now. Good in the future, we can foresee the future, almost looking like as if we are magicians, is an opportunity. Bad in the present is a fault, bad in the present right now is really a bad fault, and we need to look into so that it doesn't continue being a fault. And uspoziba ufa utajenga ukuta. If you don't address a small problem, it's quickly going to become bigger and bigger, it actually gets magnified. And as at a certain time, you're not able to do what? You're not able to rectify because it has gone too far. And bad in the future is a threat. What will come looks like a threat. If we don't have rain in 5 years, what's going to happen is that we are going to have a severe drought. So what can we do? That's an example. What can we do to avert the severe drought right now? What opportunities do we have now for us to be able to do that? Maybe plant more trees, build a dam, stuff like that. So people start thinking a bit more strategically. And then in 1964, at a conference in the FinSoft was changed to soft. It came, the first coined word was soft. And then its soft was changed to W, and thus the emergence of SWOT, analysis as commonly known, and came into existence. So it's just good to appreciate where this technique came from, how much work was put in it, and why now from soft to SWOT analysis for people to be able to use it. Any question, any reaction to that? Nice history around it. Feel free to unmute and just chime in. You're most welcome. So what is a SWOT analysis? We have actually almost explained it. What's a SWOT analysis? The technique, it shows the strengths, the weaknesses, the threats, and the opportunities. But I think apart from just knowing the acronym of SWOT, what really do we understand about strengths? And how do we analyze our strengths? How do we analyze our weaknesses, our opportunities, and our threats, so that it actually comes alive to what we are supposed to do and what we're supposed to be doing, and also making sure that we are significantly contributing to the business in every part of the business, so that we are holistic and we are more collaborative from one department to another, so that people do not work in silos. Okay, great. Any question? Feel free. So it goes on to say, we still in the SWOT. You see, it goes on to say that the SWOT analysis enables a group or an individual to handle everyday problems and look at traditional strategies from a new perspective. What are some of the traditional strategies that we know of? Things are just, this is how we do things. This is how things have always been done. This is what it is. What's the traditional strategy that we know of, or we've seen, and maybe it's time to look into new perspective? Anyone might just pause there.
Yeah, Catherine, I want to give an example.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, for an example, I am in banking industry.
Yeah.
So you would find that one of the traditional practice has been the brick and mortar. As a customer, you would go into a branch and you expect to be physically served all the services, to be given all the services which a bank can provide through brick and mortar. No wonder you see most of the banks, they are spread all over the country. If you go to any town, city, you see it's written the name of the bank there. That's brick and mortar concept. That's the tradition. But now with the digital world, technology coming in, things are now moving into the virtual space. And as such, that brick and mortar tradition is no longer viable. It's even costly, to the extent that now banks are thinking of abandoning it completely. Hence, in the papers, you hear of banks closing their presence in certain cities, reducing capacities here and there. That's one example which I can relate to.
Yeah, a very good example. if you grew up in my generation, let me tell you how the bank used to work. The bank was revealed and the bank was snotty, Maurice, and you can bear me witness. The bank was, if you had a bank account, you were someone to be recognized. The bank used to open at 9 and close at 12. So if you don't make it to the bank between that time, your goose was cooked. And then you would go there and the bank was very formal, the bank, the banking institution. And even if you remember, the banks were standalone. They were not just with other businesses or in a building, they were standalone buildings and stuff like that. And they were very smart and they were very corporate. Anyway, not that they are not, even right now they are. And of course, the transactions also took a bit longer, to clear a check, maybe took a week and stuff like that. But now, with new strategies of new perspectives, you go to every corner, the bank is there, then every corner, the bank started being there. Then, of course, now the internet banking, the fourth industrial revolution came, and the banking industry just changed. I can go to an agent around the corner, an M-Pesa agent who also incorporates agency banking, and they're there. I think in the future, like what Maurice has said, for sure, brick and mortar is going to be a far-fetched facade. Maybe we'll even see it in the museum one of the days, but it's something that it was very traditional. That was what it was. And then, of course, it was amazing to see banks coming to the marketplaces. When you go to Kikomba, for the ones who have ever gone to Kikomba, there are banks there. Whoever thought a bank would be there? Because banks were really, and also security had to be put in place and stuff like that. So it's important. I keep thinking that also because of the brick and mortar aspect, that maybe banks will come together with more collaboration, because we are competing now. We are competing, but also we need to collaborate, maybe, and say, instead of us having all these big space of banks, how about us having our own people, 4 people of Barclays, 4 people of Standard Chartered, 4 people of Equity, 5 people of Cooperative, and for us to be known, multi-banks are here, and maybe just use that concept of the same space, because there are some still maybe activities that you might need to go to the banking hall. I don't know which ones those ones are. I don't know whether, and I'm sure they are being worked in the background so that it's actually very seamless, because that's what it's going to be. Maybe the generation of our parents and our grandparents, because they're not so tech savvy, maybe that's what they're waiting and seeing. Once this generation dies out, when this generation finally dies out, they now go completely digital. But I think those are some of the aspects, and really looking into the agility of the banking industry. Thanks, Maurice, for bringing that out. Someone else? Traditional, everyday, and looking at the traditional strategies. Anybody else? Really traditional strategies? Anybody else? I think also when we saw another traditional, when I was thinking about this, the traditions that we all know is in Kenya, once the exams were done, let's say the candidates in primary school did the exams in November, they went all the way. We only got exams, the results 3 months later. Maybe the results were announced in March. But in the SWOT analysis, the minister went and asked, so why do we have to wait for 3 months before we release the results? What's happening in the background, And then people at the Ministry of Education just say, it's just a tradition. That's what we've always done. Is it a good tradition? Does it serve anybody any purpose? Just you have the results in 5 days, you've marked the papers, you've analyzed, you've put everything together to announce in 3 months. Why can't you release it now, so that people get their results and they start planning for high school? And why should children go to high school in March when they are supposed to be going in January, instead of them losing 2 months of study? Again, analyzed, what needed to be done there in terms of a new perspective. So, and that's what it is. You'll do your exams in November. Before, I think 4 days later or 5 days later or 2 weeks later, you have the results, and then you wait for the selection, and you are in school by January. Really good ways of whatever. And let's even just think about the traditional things around the work processes. In fact, that's a good one. When COVID came, what happened? What were some of the traditional things as HR people that we quickly found new perspectives in? New perspectives in, especially during the pandemic? What really came to life for us? What really came to life for us a lot? Can unmute yourself. Well, what did you do differently, maybe at your place of work?
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
For us, as an example, Catherine, if I may come in, we were indeed challenged in the sense that traditionally, each morning you look for a matatu, you go to work, and come back in the evening. Your physical presence was required. I tell you, since I started working some years back, I'd never worked from home. Every day would go to the office, you are required to be present. Mm-hmm. But now with the advent of COVID, that whole concept of physical presence changed. Yeah. I tell you, for this first time, what I thought was not possible, working from home. Of course, we started struggling at first, but it became possible. And right now, that's the in thing. Talking to many colleagues we work with, they would prefer working from home or a hybrid model where they alternate. So those are some of the changes which COVID has brought to us, and it's a good thing.
Exactly. Disruptive. The fourth industrial revolution was actually fast-tracked for us to know it was there, it was coming, but now use of technology, leveraging on platforms that we thought, well, okay, we'll use them as when. But look at what happened. COVID came, traditional strategies were tested, and we needed to quickly look into the new strategies. Yeah, thank you, Maurice. Remote working, you can work from anywhere. And it stopped looking at the new perspective of how do I now make sure that my people are productive? It's no longer looking at the 8 to 5 concept. It's more of what is the output, not even the input. It became now, stop looking at the input, look at the output, look at ways that you can be able to evaluate the output and productivity of your team so that you really do understand what they're doing. And also create platforms for collaboration. Many companies now started using Zoom, like what we are doing now. Other companies started many platforms, Kaizala, whatever, Teams, many, Skype, and they became much more alive for people to be able to collaborate. Very, 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 very profound along what we can do. Whoever thought that we could bring training and people sit in and be able to participate online, let's do it. Let's make sure that we don't miss out the learning aspects of what was put in the training calendar. Let's look for ways to be able to do that. So really forming new perspectives. Those perspectives sometimes can be challenging because a situation can present itself, a challenging situation like COVID, and quickly how do we adapt it to that? Some perspectives are more of, incremental. This is where our business is. We want to move it to this level now. We've been here, we want to move it here. How do we make sure that so it's a more deliberate way, of whatever. So organic growth, non-organic growth, like what some of the strategies in business to accelerate your growth. So thank you very much. So And then we go on. SWOT analysis is a planning tool used to understand strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and strength involved in a project or a business. So that's we go on to say that it is used as a framework for organizing and using data and information gained from situation analysis of internal and external environment. So when we talk about using data, it's not just a gut feeling, oh, yesterday I felt like, the business that is calling me out is, again, let me just use the Matatu business. I think I can excel in Matatu business. Yes, you can. We're not saying you can't, but it's even important. It is never ever more important now to make sure that you have data to back up your business plan. There has never been a more important time in this era that we are living in for people to have data and information to back them up. So if you don't know where to get that data, it just means that there's something very wrong. You've not even actualized it. It's just those ones of, I see all Matatus in the street. I see latest registration numbers, and they all seem to be doing well, back and forth. Even the old ones are still there. If that's your observation, then it's just a small, tiny aspect of really what happens in any industry that you want to venture into. So where would you get the data? Where would you get the information? That is when you start now thinking more critically and more strategically about the business that you want to do. Even a small business, traditional strategies of all, we went and we wanted to go to a shop and buy things, and let me feel, let me see, let me compare, let me do that. Now everything is online. You want to buy something, you go online. You don't have to go to a shop. It's dropped at your doorstep or wherever you want it to be dropped for you to pick up, and then after that you pay. So things have really changed for any business. For you to come up with a new business, increase business incremental things that you would like to bring into your business, it must be backed up by data and information. Data is information that you have picked over a long period of time, that you're able to analyze and see a trend of what's happening there. Information gained, could be knowledge, tacit knowledge, explicit knowledge, for you to have those discussions. What do you know about this? Matatu business is very good. If that's the information that I know, and stuff like that. You talk to someone else who has been there and maybe who was not successful and will tell you something different. They'll tell you, instead of concentrating on small routes from Nairobi from town to Isili, for example, why don't you try long distance from Nairobi to Kisumu or something like that? Maybe that has more stability. So that kind of information. And the thing is that the more you talk about it as an organization, the more alive it becomes. And it just doesn't become a facade up there, But people are also very hesitant to talk about their plans, because what happens? What do they fear? What do people fear? If I keep telling Maurice, Josephine, Joseph, I'm just reading the names on my panel, on my Zoom panel. Why don't we want to talk about our plans? What do we fear? What's the fear that we have? What's the fear that we have? That someone might hijack our plans, might go ahead of us and whatever. So, but how do we get that information and data? And how can we protect it? And also me as Catherine, I believe there's enough for everyone. If we all do quail business, didn't we all do quail business? I guess the early adapters also have an edge. If you're a laggard, then you come, maybe all the profits and everything, the top cream has been taken. Now you will just be coming in and you'll have to really find a niche as to why you need to do this. As to why you need to bring this product. So I think there is enough for everyone. Sometimes we are hesitant, but there are also ways to protect it. You can patent it. You know, you go and say, this is my idea. It's my original idea. And before anybody does it, they have to ask for permission, and they have to pay royalties for it. And before I let them be, you know, it's like the drug manufacturers. When you get a drug for a certain disease, then you patent it. You're allowed to, I think it's 10 years before you let someone else start making the generics. So you've recouped your research and development cost, which you took from analyzing the data, collecting all the data and all the information over time. So people pay for that because they were not there to think about all this. Then they found a product that is ready, that is selling in the market, it is selling very well, and they want to do what? They want to run with it. So they even don't be too scared to talk about that, you know, and talk to people who are maybe, who have the best interest for you. You know, even as a business, talk to the best people who have the best interest. If best interest could also be your consumers, you know, call a small group of consumers who consume your products or services and say, what do you think about this? And those kind of discussions are called focus group discussions, for you to be able to know, how do I get now into this new market? What is the internal and the external environment saying? Okay. Any question? Any reaction to that? Have you ever started a business and or an initiative and someone hijacked it? Or even as a business, anyone? Early adapters? Or are we laggards? Which is which? Feel free to unmute and share your experiences.
For me, of course, the whole question is around, and challenge is around data. How do you get, and where do you get it from? And the accuracy of that data.
The accuracy of that data, yeah. That's a good question.
Important. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good question, Maurice. Where do you get the data? You know, especially if it's something totally different that you're venturing in. Where do you get the data? Where do you get the information? Anyone who would like to contribute to that? Where do we get the data? Credible data while at it. Credible data while at it. Esther, Sylvia, Maureen, Mary, anyone? Joseph? Where you can get data? In the past, or how have you gotten your data? For me, I would take it from this, and it's not conclusive. It's around, if you there are researchers who actually research on different industries or different businesses, and you can buy data from them. You know, you can buy ready-made data off the shelf, like let's say the data for, you want to see the salary scales for the banking industry, for example, and you would like to do a SWOT analysis to see where you are in the market and stuff like that. So you can go to all these credible institutions that actually sell that kind of information. For example, if it's about the business, there's organizations like KEPSA, you know, who collect data over time. The government, like consumer price indexes, you know, what is this? Kenya Bureau of Standards would be having that kind of data over time. So maybe you can approach those kind of credible bodies would have that kind of data. The other one is to appoint or work with a very credible research organization who is able to collect the data for you, you know, sample size and say this is what it is, and be able to do that. Of course, all this comes with a cost. That's something that you need to understand. But if it's internal, something that you'd like to move from point A to point B, you would use your own internal data over time. What have you seen? So that's why it is important that organizations keep data and knowledge very deliberately. not just saying, oh, Catherine has all the knowledge. What if Catherine leaves? You know, she goes with all the knowledge. How are we documenting data as an organization for us to be able to make informed decisions? You know, if we don't have a research and development department because we are big, if we don't have a business intelligence department because we are small, both aspects, because we are small. So who is tasked to keep data? If it's the custodian of every person's responsibility, how much data are you collecting? How much data do you have? And then we start reciprocity of putting data in a certain way in the cloud, so that in a shared drive, so that if Catherine is not there, if Maurice is not there, if Dan is not there, then we can be able to do what? We can be able to have that data and analyze that data. So that's what I would say about data. So you can find it from different sources and be able to use it. Last week, that reminds me, last week I was in discussion, and it was discussion about who's leading right now in the media industry, which is the top-rated media house, and in terms of viewership. So all the media houses were actually represented, and it was interesting to hear. And me being not, they called us because random sampling again, you know, and come around and say which TV station do you watch, or which radio station do you listen to, and then we all went around and said, why do you listen to that station? Why do you watch that station? And it was not just, of course, it was a local context. Of course, we opened it up to the international stations as well, you know, from the BBC to CNNs to Al Jazeera to Sky News and whatever. So there was, and it was all, they really structured this well, because it was a representative of all generations. You know, what is the younger generation? And the younger generation, you could see, they don't flip the remote. No, their news is, you know, it's online, you know, if they want to watch news, if they want to hear what is happening and stuff like that. And maybe some of us in our own generation, then we have the accounts, you have your Twitter, you have your Facebook, you have your whatever platforms that you have. But it was interesting because they said the research firms who every month provide that data, they didn't feel that they were actually giving the correct information. You know, based on the analysis, everybody wants to say, I'm the leading radio station, I'm the leading TV station and stuff like that. So it was nice to hear what also the business owners are saying. And then what is the conclusion in that? It was very interesting, and said, we want an independent person to do it, you know. And then they said, why don't we commission Communications Authority, you know, CA, to be able to do that, because it's a point of reference. They're the ones who give the licenses, they're the ones who whatever. And it was interesting to see that. And I like what Maurice, you are asking, where do I get credible data? You know, so we must also interrogate where data is coming from and say, if we are not very happy about that data, can we all come together, industry players, and say, what would we like for ourselves? It was good to hear people, you know, really now competing, you know, collaborating. Yet we are competitors, but we want to see where it is. And of course, they're taking also from the premise that next year there will be loud noise and loud discussions, entertaining discussions around the political space that we are going to get into. But so for me, I took away who gives you credible information. Where am I? Where should I, in what kind of space should I be playing in? How do I get that information? And if I'm not getting that information, how can I bring together industry players for us to talk around the table with other people around to give me that kind of information? So nice learnings around that. And I believe that it's something that we should all embrace. So thank you, Maurice, for that. Any other question? Any other question, reaction? Okay, let's continue. So we will unpack what each of the quadrants, the techniques of SWOT is. This S again stands for strength, W, the weaknesses, O for the opportunities, and 3, T for the threats, strength, like I'm strong, this is my strength, physical strength, emotional strength, financial strength, it can, mental strength, your agility to be who you are, and then that translates for you to be able to bring it into the business and be able to bring the business alive. When you think about people who have founded businesses and they've gone out to be in Fortune 500, they started with something. They just started with, I think this is time. This is a gap I see in the market. How can I capitalize on it? I feel passionate about it. I am going to run about with it. Think about Steve Jobs, the late Steve Jobs, how much he drove what is the name of his company? Apple. Think about this guy of Microsoft, what's his name? Whatever his name, Bezos of Amazon. All those people, they just started off with one idea, and then they looked at it. I have the strength, I have the muscle, I'll be able to move with it. So strengths are, we can pick them out, some of the key ones, and you can continue adding them. It's not exhaustive. Characteristics of the business or a team that give it an advantage over others in the industry. Characteristics of a business or team that gives an advantage over others in the industry. Think about the industry that you are in. Characteristics of your business. Does it give an advantage over everybody else? Your brand, your product, your brand promise to your consumers, is that that characteristic? What's your characteristics as an individual, as Catherine? What are my characteristics? What's your characteristics? All of us who are in this webinar today, what if you are told just to give us 1 minute and write down your characteristics that gives you an advantage over all of us here, what would you say? So what are you known for? What's your brand proposition out there? How have you positioned yourself? So strengths are positive, tangible, and intangible attributes internal to an organization. Internal, our culture, our strategy, the way we do things in this organization, positive, tangible, intangible. Tangible, we can feel. Intangible, we cannot feel, but it's our culture, our values, how we behave around our culture. Our values really brings it to life in contributing to the strengths. Beneficial aspects of the organization or the capabilities of an organization, which includes human competencies, processes, capabilities, financial resources, products and services, customer or client goodwill, and brand loyalty. That's it. Beneficial aspects. What are we known for? Our capabilities. Have we analyzed our competencies, our human competencies internally? If we employ someone, what are the competencies they must have for them to come and hold this position? This is what we have been looking for. Finally, we've got that person, and you're very excited and you bring them in. Your financial muscle as an organization. If you don't have a financial backing, then it will be very difficult for you to be able to run the business. In all aspects of it, you will struggle. But if you know that you've got a real good business plan, you continuously are able to get funding from whatever areas that you go look for that funding, and you're able to pay for it, then you're in a good financial place. As you begin the business, you might have the money, you might have saved your money, you start off the business. As you grow, the customers are bringing in the money, you're making profit, you're applying it back to the business. Also, at the same time, maybe you need a big you are in for a big expansion, and this expansion calls for you to go out borrowing. Would a bank really look at your financial statements and say, this is someone that I would like to work with, you deserve the money? Or to just go to capital ventures and say, well, this is my business, and they would want to get into that venture with you and be able to provide you some of their financial resources. Your processes, either from point A to point B, your value chain. How do we really move processes in this organization? Are they documented? Processes capability. When we say we are doing things and we are really doing things smartly and in a very efficient way, what have we done? Your systems, the systems that you have in place. If you're in production, manufacturing, what are your processes? Machines from A to point B, they are latest of the art, not necessarily that every new model that comes in you change, because that's a big capital expenditure. But what are you doing to make sure that your processes are efficient and they use them to the optimum to make sure that you're not losing any revenue that you're supposed to be generating for the business? So those are some of the things that you need to understand internally. And you say, we are at a good place. We are better than the competitors. Let the competitors keep saying whatever they want to say. But as guys, we are ahead of our time. Okay. Brand loyalty, very important. Who is a great, or how do you choose one brand over the other? Question. How do you choose one brand over the other? Brand loyalty. What are some of the things that you consider?
Yeah, it's by and large my experience with that particular brand over time. For an example, in the telecom industry, if it is Safaricom, Airtel, what has been my experience with them from all angles, be it their product offering to us as clients, so that will, to an extent, compel me to choose Safaricom, for an example, over Airtel.
Yeah. Very, your customer experience, preposition, efficiency, quality, price, it attributes over time why choose this brand over this other brand, customer experience, and now more and more companies are not selling anything else. They're just selling customer experience, customer experience. That's what we want, whatever. And they want you to have the seamless of the seamless customer experience that there ever was. And a lot of investment is being done in that area from the platforms that the customer is going to be interacting with, from how people talk, to how we position ourselves, to the turnaround time, our boilerplate. When you meet someone working for that company, they are all talking the same, talking the same. Did I see somewhere in Safaricom tagline about customer service? What was it? I must remember before I finish this webinar. Is it ridiculously, they were trying to say that it's all about the customer. It's you that I really want to work for. We bring products to you and you are the end. There's nobody else. This game does not, we don't play it for anybody else. We just play it for you. Ridiculously crazy about the customer. I think it was something like that. I was just like, ooh, okay, interesting, and reinventing themselves over and over. So why do you use one brand over the other brand? And sometimes it's interesting, that you can even work for a certain brand. You are employed there, completely employed there. You are loyal, you are working, but you don't use their brand. Why? What would be the problem? What could be the challenge? I work here, but I won't use these products. Why don't we do that? I work here, but I won't use this product. Anyone? You can unmute yourself.
Cost
It's
challenge.
ironical. Yes, yeah. Esther?
Cost challenge.
The product might be more expensive than the competitor. I work here, but their cost is double, and it does the same thing from that other person, from that other brand. Thank you, Esther. Someone else? Aspect of cost.
Probably the quality of the product.
The quality of the product. Thank you. Quality of the product. You know that they use maybe a cheaper reagent, for example, that is really, they say it does, but it's supposed, let's say, to last a week. But if you use the product, it will only last a day. But when you use that other product, it will actually give it does exactly what it says. It's supposed to last a week, it lasts a week. This other one, it says, they still say it lasts a week, but it will last a day because the quality of the products, the products that they have used to make that, no, not the product that they have used, the materials that they have used to make that product does not meet what they have said it's going to do. Someone else? Thank you, Sylvia. You work there, but you've decided to use another brand.
The overall value proposition, the benefits accruing to me, I think that's the major differentiator for me.
Yeah.
What's in it? What's in it for me?
What is in it for me? And that actually now brings in the aspect of the culture of that organization, the values of that organization. How engaging do they make me feel? Do they make me feel comfortable working here? Do I feel motivated enough to be in this organization? So it means that if I am not if I am not shouting on the mountaintops about the products that my company produces, whether I'm at a cocktail, whether I'm in a party, whether I'm outside there and someone is saying, you hear someone say, so we use, and then say, no, have you ever had these products from my company that we produce? If it's not that, then there's a big problem around our engagement levels in an organization, and all of us have really put up pertinent points. How do I feel engaged being in this organization? And if I'm not connecting, then there's a big problem. And we are talking about engagement levels now on a very high note, where we say that we have to think about engagement at 3 levels as individuals, and the company must continuously think about how they're engaging their people. We need to ask ourselves, am I engaged? Am I engaging? And am I engageable? Those 3 aspects of engaging. So unpacking engaging, just not going further, then that is the only time we will be able to build goodwill for the employees and brand loyalty, and also employee value proposition. So if strength is really critical in when you are analyzing who you are as a company, because it all boils down to people. If you have a good strategy, people don't understand it, people don't relate with it, and they don't feel it. And it actually starts from the culture. And we know that the saying that culture eats strategy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner can never be ever emphasized than us knowing that that's the truth of the matter. Okay? Yeah. Anything else around strengths? There could be many more things that we look into strengths. So you're powered. Okay. Thank you. So your weaknesses, you are as strong as your weakest link. Then look at this picture, that represents a W. Weakest, it's breaking. It's breaking. And why does it break? What are some of the aspects that we would want to consider we're still in strength, Some of the organizational strengths are as follows: abundance, financial resources, establishment of a brand name. It takes time to establish your brand, and it can feel like that. The other day, everybody has a story with KPLC. Who doesn't have a story, a good or a bad story about KPLC? Majority of the time is a frustrating story from KPLC, isn't it? Our Kenya Power, it's a monopoly. And when I saw that the state is, the government is now starting to pay more attention. I don't know what they said it will do. They say that it's now going to come, they're going to manage it. I just said, well, it's taken a long time for you guys to realize there's a problem. And of course, but who runs this organization? It's me and you. What kind of decisions do we make? And then if we are going to make such bad decisions, don't we think that we are going to be affected by those bad decisions? Me and you. Bad decisions that will affect me and you will also affect your immediate family, will affect your relatives, will affect your friends, and overall will affect the society. So I keep on thinking, you see it there, and make these strategies that really only enrich you at that point, whether it is true or not. But what we have seen and what we have gathered over time, and this is the public domain, is that they are sold for electricity at a very high cost. So it means that they have to lump it up to the consumer, end consumer. But who goes out to make this, to look at these contracts? They're experts. You know, you've actually employed experts in your business to be able to help you. You know, competencies, where was that? You know, positive internal organizations. You know, we've actually looked at our process capabilities, and we can't now come and say this is the best we found in the market. And you think that maybe you'll work there for a long period of time. So if we have no power, it's not just about having power and constant power, but you're also paying that cost. I don't know whether they get a discount, but I'm just thinking that your parents will pay the high cost of power, your friends will pay the high cost of power. So how about us making better decisions? You get what I mean? So that's, I think we all complain a monopoly, and what can we do about it? And of course, now what's happening to many people at even household level is to come and say, I'll install solar, and I will use solar, and when Kenya Power works, it works. If it doesn't work, then I have actually my primary source of power is solar power. And then after that, I will go to electricity power. I'll get it from their grid and stuff like that. So it's something that establishing a brand name, even if you are, by the time, and Kenya Power used to have another brand before they rebranded and brought up this new brand, very refreshing. It was very nice. I think it is nice. It relates, it's fresh, it's nice to the eye. But before putting up a brand name, you know, we are unveiling a new brand. Perhaps how about making sure that your internally, you have done everything to put things in place before you bring out this brand. So it's still the same. One day, they've rebranded. And what do we say in the market? We hope they'll give us a better product and a better service. And then after the one day, you just say, it's just the same, because you still have the same customer experience. Anybody would like to react to any brand that you think is a big one, doesn't do what needs to be done, is backing? Anything? Anyone with a good experience with KPLC or with a challenging experience? Anyone would like to? Okay. Feel free to weigh in. So examples we go on, economies of scale, very important. We want to make sure that one of your strengths will be around low production costs, which we all strive to acquire. Superior management. What does superior management mean? Superior management? Sylvia or Joseph or anybody who would like to contribute? Superior management?
Yeah, I think it speaks to corporate governance by that particular management team. There are quite a number of parameters around corporate governance, but adherence to them.
Yeah, very true. So superior management, like what you have said, really making sure that we are adhering to corporate governance. We cannot be found out there with a tint of our of us as individuals and us as the brand, and it all starts from the board of directors, and the senior management, and then it just trickles down. And also this superior management also means that they have the competencies and the capability, if it's your CFO in that business, they really do understand the business. They understand how to hedge your funds, and they do what is required for them to run the business, and they have a technical team that is helping them really actualize what needs to be done. If it is your marketing director or your chief marketing officer, they really do understand what needs to be done, how to position the brand in the market, how to talk, how to hold, what are the holding statements if there is anything that is going on, whatever. And them even as an individual, because when you work for an organization, people brand you, Maurice of XYZ organization. So also how you carry yourself out in the society by everything that you do, from the way you talk to the way you dress, to the way you address people, to your networks, to your connections, really speak about the strengths that you bring to that organization. So some brands really accelerate you as an individual to become that brand, and you have to make sure that you are constantly keeping yourself up to date with industry practice, with what's happening out there with your competitors, with what you want to be known for, and things like that. And of course, we pick cues from people. Someone can be giving a press statement, and you're looking at them and you're thinking, their body language today is not the same as what it was yesterday, externally and internally. So we need to know that superior management is not just the competencies and great governance that you bring that are required of you in an organization, but you as an individual. Can I be a risk to this brand? If I am a risk to this brand, do I really want to risk this brand which has been built over time? Many years, people have put in a lot of effort to bring this brand to where it is. You don't want to put it in disrepute because of your own selfish interest. So it's important that we encompass all that in superior management. Excellent marketing skills that cannot be overemphasized. Good supply chain distribution. When you order something and a promise of a deliver, we love that line in corporate. What are we saying? That we have said we will bring this good to the market in 3 days, it will be on the shelf. And we know that, 3 days is what realistically it should be, but we know that we are working with a very good transport company, and it will be there in 2 days. Customer delight, that is what you are known for, and people are able to relate with that. So it's important for you that your supply chain distribution, from the time you start offering the product, developing the product, to the time it reaches the market, it's been well thought out, and it goes around efficiency and also making sure that you can save costs. So using modern technology in running your business will give you a key differentiator with others. Great employee commitment. What are we talking about here? Again, the 3 levels of engagement. Do we feel fully engaged and committed? Are we loyal? Because we keep on saying that people are our greatest asset. If anything, this has no order of importance. It can be other things. And then I was thinking, maybe this, I should have put it on top here, but because there's no order of importance, great employee commitment. If you don't have this, what happens? If we don't have committed employees, what happens?
Productivity suffers, attrition increases, and
Yeah.
you lose advocates, people who would vouch and indeed sell your brand to the outside world.
Exactly. You lose that credibility. Your brand suffers. You're always training new people. You're always on the same rat race. You don't seem to be moving forward. You lose great talent, and people now start hearing that you're not a very good employer, and people shy away from coming to work for you. So it's important to make sure that people feel motivated. They feel that's they're being challenged. There's fairness, there's equity, there's open communication, there's a great place for you to be boundless around, agility, innovativeness, to be creative, and your ideas are actually taken into consideration. Very, very important and very, very key to what great employee commitment is. Okay, yeah. So, and also feedback plays a big place in this role. People are going out to solicit for feedback. Employees are getting feedback from time to time. So just shows goes to creating a strong commitment from an employee. Weaknesses. What would we term weaknesses as? Are characteristics that place the organization at a disadvantage relative to others. So this, I don't follow football, but because I have friends and family members who follow football, this weekend was very heartbreaking for many football fans. What happened, football lovers?
Manchester United was beaten 5-0 by Liverpool yesterday.
Whom do you support, Maurice?
It follows Liverpool. Imagine beaten in their home ground.
Their home ground. Can you imagine? And the previous day, what has happened? Chelsea and who? Something. I think Chelsea won, because my brother supports Chelsea, so he was very happy this weekend. Anyway, so that's these organizations, because football clubs are companies, and they've become respected brands. And I'm sure today they are looking at what made us win. Really, was it just by flukes, or we played a good game? Is our brand out there? The ones who won, the ones who lost, what are they doing this week? What is the coach doing? What is management doing? What are the players doing? And they're all employees in this business. What are they doing this week?
Self-introspection.
Yeah, self-retrospection. The ones who won, self-retrospection. The ones who lost, the same thing. And that is the same for every business and for every individual. And I take that very, very seriously as a coach. I'm an executive coach. What happens is that we need to self-reflect every day, and I'm not saying that it's not something that it's not something that we should feel strained about. It's something that should come naturally to us. At the end of the day, what have I done? What have I delivered? How did I push this team to achieve the goals of the organization? Did I empower them as a supervisor? As an employee, what did I bring to the table that really showcased my competencies, my talents, my commitment to this organization? Every day, so why do I just wake up and just go? It must be deliberate retrospection of who we are as individuals. As a supervisor, how am I really managing my team? What are some of the weaknesses that can put me at a disadvantage relative to others, to my competitor, to my team, even my team, so that they are not capable of delivering what I expect them to deliver. So it is very important for us to make sure that every day we are retrospective. And I would like to encourage you every day. I'm even saying 5 minutes as you shut down your laptop and say, tomorrow I have all this work. My to-do list is already full, but today, how did I push it? How did I land my projects? I love what the millennials say. We are landing it, and we are landing it strong. Nice things, nice taglines that people use and stuff like that. Even as 5 minutes, or even you're walking to take your transport home, whichever mode of transport that you use, are you able to really bring it out to the fore and say that this is what I am doing and this is what I have done? So that you know what disadvantages you. So we move on, distract the organization from its ability to attain the core goal and influence its growth. My core business, my primary business. Well, do you understand what is your primary business? What's the primary business of my employer? Do I really understand it? Or we all now started having too many primary goals and we are not focusing on what the goal is? Are you the one voice of reason who comes and says, I think we are losing the plot, and the plot is our primary goal is this, but we seem to be putting on new goals, and that is going to disadvantage us, and influence our goal. Let's concentrate on what we know, before we venture out into the unknown. Factors which do not meet the standards set in the organizations. What could be some of those factors, and what do we mean by factors which do not meet the standards of the organization? Anyone? Please share with us. This is how I like my webinars to go, that we can be able to just have a discussion and really understand as we go along factors which do not meet the standards of the organization. What could be some of those factors? Okay, let's look at them in the next slide. Okay, so some of the examples of organizational weaknesses are as follows. You can have limited financial resources as much as you are trying and knocking on the doors, pushing your products. Sometimes you struggle and the lucky break is not coming. Because when you start a business, they say that it takes 3 to 5 years before it reaches, it's even, sometimes it breaks even. And then after that, year 5, you might start making a profit. You might just be making enough to run the business, but you're not being able to do all these other fancy things that you would like to do. Like you would not give your employers the best insurance, medical insurance that you would like to give, for example, because you have limited resources. We are still really a startup. Think about a startup, or even think about a company now that is very, the customers are saying, you need to push 2,000 boxes of biros to the market. The market is ready for you guys, but you're only able to push 1,000, and the 1,000 is because you're not able to buy machines that have the capacity to push the 2,000 biros, because maybe your financial statements really show, when you go to the bank to ask them, oh, please lend me more money, they say, no, your cash flows don't look, they're not right. But you're trying to convince them, the market is ready for me. They want data, they want conviction, and the conviction is from the statements that you guys keep and your books of accounts and stuff like that. They don't see how they can give you another loan of 10 million on top of what you have, limited. So you find it difficult to be able to move on. And some banks will just look at you and say, no, you're a startup, we don't know you, we don't believe in that, we don't believe, that's not the word they would use, that the risk we have analyzed and your risk is too high. And then you go and say, oh my gosh, okay, fine, that's not working for me. But maybe you go somewhere else. And I like banks. You know, banks now, when I'm successful, they come and say, can we lend you more money? You know, can we lend you more money? Maurice, banks, you're special. You take the umbrella when it's raining, but you want to give me the umbrella when it's shining and stuff like that. So tunawaonanga kutoka mbali, we watch you from afar. And so, but of course, most of the times is when you come through. I guess you also look at the risk and stuff like that. So again, what would be some of the examples around weaknesses? Low R&D budget, you know, research and development. You might not have a standalone, like I said, research and development department, but everybody is expected to contribute to research and development. In your position as HR, how do you contribute to research and development? If you're in HR, if you're in marketing, how do you contribute that? If you're in sales, how do you contribute to research and development? If you sit in EXCO or senior management team or whatever name you give them, how do I contribute to research and development? How do I bring it alive? What are some of the things I would say? Let's do this. This is what the market is asking. This is what the employees are asking for them to be able to become better at their work. So those initiatives, those discussions, those ideas should actually be brought to the fore. And maybe now after that, form a team, a small team, and come and say, we need to research this a little bit more. Where is the data? Where is the information? How are we going to put up that product and take it out there? So we all have an opportunity to contribute to research and development. Narrow product line, you've got only one product line because of where you started. You don't have the much appetite. Maybe you are also risk averse, so you don't have the opportunity to expand your product offering. So the market is, there's a lot you can do for the market. Let's say you manufacture biros again, and the market says that you can also manufacture pencils. You know, but you are hesitant, you know, and just say, no, this is what we know and this is what we will stick to. Or maybe also you go out there and your salespeople are saying, there's a new product in the market. People have started bringing a thinner, big writing point for the biro. And as guys, it's fat, you know, you're not able to bring in the thin one, and then you lose out in the market. Which supply chain distribution, it's actually an opposite of the strength. High production costs, you know, high production costs could be a result of anything. You know, your staff are not trained. They are not committed, so they make a lot of errors and mistakes. You are not adhering to statutory compliance, so you might be flagged out by the authorities. You know, there could be reasons why high production costs. Your machinery is obsolete, you know, so a constant repair, because they're always breaking down. You know, they could be anything. High production, people stealing fraud in the organization, privilege in your company that really makes higher production. And it could be from even your procurement systems that if you say that we are delivering five products to be able to push the market, they don't do that. They take some of those productions for themselves, and you're left out there. Poor market image, poor marketing skills, weak management skills, and trained employees. Just opposite of what we have said in strengths, you know, and trained employees. If you're able to train people, please train people. People are the greatest assets. And we are not saying that you take them necessarily, it's not necessarily you take them for fancy and expensive trainings. Internally, you can have champions. You know, XYZ loves marketing. They're a great marketer. How about having a town hall meeting of 30 minutes and saying, this is how we position ourselves in the market? Start having those internal champions to be able to move products, move things for you internally. You know, someone is good at customer service. Let them be the ones who are whatever. Someone has experience of personal branding, bring them and let them whatever. And also leverage on your networks. You know, if you know that you have a friend who does training or something, and you don't have a budget, you can request them. That's what your networks are for. Networks are your network. So bring. It's not necessarily, oh, we don't have a training budget, this organization. People should also take the initiative. There's a lot of free trainings and information that you can get from the internet. You know, YouTube has all sorts of things that you can learn. You can even learn how to manufacture a car and manufacture your own car. Well, I'm not sure it's going to you have to get all those licenses and stuff like that. But you can do anything you want under this sun. Nothing would stop you. It's just the limitation. We always think that situations must be ideal. Sometimes they'll not be ideal. How are we circumventing them? How are we moving along for us to be able to overcome some of those challenges? So don't be so one-tracked. Try, you know, and that's why it's good to have a big diversity in your organization, to be able to think, people who think differently and different ideas. Okay. Any question? Feedback around that? Okay, let's move on. Opportunities. Opportunities are chances. You know, opportunity is a chance, just like that, to make greater profits in the environment. You know, why do businesses exist? Businesses exist because they're out to make a profit for the goods and services that they provide to the society. So you should never feel bad of making a profit, of making money. You're there to make money. Some will make much more money than others. That's the truth of the matter. That is how they've positioned themselves. They're lucky. If they're lucky break, so be it, you know. But greater environment. No wonder they say the PPP, people, planet, and profit. But of course, that narrative has been changed, and it's always profit, profit, profit. But even sometimes we say, okay, fine, we start off with the people, they're our greatest asset, you know. Then we looking at the environment, we are very keen to make sure that the environment remains alive, especially the environment that we are working in, internal and externally. And then we are looking at our bottom line, that's profit. But in a very subtle way, they've actually reversed that narrative. So it's always profit, you know, okay, and then whichever comes before the other, depending on the agency, planet or the people, you know. But I can tell you the pressure of working in corporate or any organization is the bottom line. And how you achieve the bottom line, sometimes they even say the end justifies the means. No. We must make sure that our governance structure and the commitment that people bring to their business and how we employ our people really supports that narrative, you know. So then you have the opportunity of making greater profits in the environment, and nobody will question that. External, so opportunities, external attractive factors that represent the reason for an organization to exist and develop. You know, what are these external factors that might be there? You know, it is calm, the government of the day provides an opportunity and an environment for you to be able to do your business without any hindrance. Condition of the environment that benefits the organization in planning and executing strategies that enable it to become more profitable. Very important, you know, conditions in the environment. So organizations should be careful and recognize the opportunities and grasp them whenever they arise. Don't be too. Someone else will always grab the opportunity. Unfortunately, the world owes you nothing. It only owes you an opportunity. And if you don't grab that opportunity, someone else next door, in fact, just sitting right next to you, will whatever. I remember once upon a time, when I was younger, how I got my first job. I was those days were the KBS days, and I boarded the bus now to go home from my internship. I can't remember whether it was internship or maybe it was just one of those first jobs. And the people are in front of me, the two guys in front of me, and me, I'm seated there. And they said, oh, I heard there's a position in XYZ company. I'm also planning to apply for it. I'm not saying that, whatever. And I listened, and I listened more what they were saying about that job, and that as long as I had the company and I knew the company, I applied for it, and maybe I was just better skilled or whatever. If they applied for it because I don't know them, we alighted at different destination. Me, by the time I got home the following day, I looked at my CV, I brushed it up and stuff and everything, and I put my letter in the post office. I'm just saying, grabbing those opportunities that you hear. And for sure, I worked for that company for 10 years. I was called for an interview for that position that I had in the bus. I went for the interview. I did well. I don't know whether those other people applied or not, but that's how I grabbed the chance. 10 years of a career that I built over time, a good employer, and I was very happy with it until it was time for me to move on. So grab opportunities as you hear them, think about them. What is coming up in my organization that I can really grab and run with as an individual? Outside there, what can my company do to become the trailblazer? How can I help it? Let's not let those chances not pass us. Excuse me. So it is important. And I'm sure you've grabbed opportunities. Anybody who has grabbed an opportunity that really worked well for them, please share. Even small opportunities, your own business, your own experience. Anybody like me who had in a bus an opportunity 30 years ago? Anybody? We are shy to share our opportunities. Okay. Organizations should be careful and recognize the opportunities and grab them. Okay. Opportunities may arise from market, from competition, industry, government, and technology. So that's where opportunities can arise from. So always make sure that when you're in the market, what are you listening? Are you business savvy? Do you have business acumen? And that's the kind of people that we want to bring in organizations, leading self, leading others, and leading the business. If this business was yours, would you buy it? I mean, if this business was given to you, would you take it as a gift? If this business was being sold, would you buy it because you believe in it? Competition. What is your competitor doing? Industry, overall industry, the government, and leveraging on the technology that is there. Okay, great. Some examples of opportunities for an organization are as follows: rapid market growth, complacent rival firms, people who just think, after all, we've reached, think about those companies like Kodak. Kodak thought nobody would ever make anything more different from a film. Go to the studio. Do studios even exist? I don't know. Maybe studios will still exist, but you go there, but they're still digital. There's no more film. That technology died off. Think about Nokia. It was the biggest phone company. Other companies came. They overtook them because then they thought, well, our brand is well known, it's to the test of time, but things come. You're complacent because, after all, I've positioned myself. I am a well-known brand. What can people do without me? People will do a lot of things without you. By the time you say Jack Daniels and open your eyes, people have come, done it, and moved on, and you're left there. What happened to me? Changing customer needs, taste, and preferences. New users discovered for existing products. We incrementally keep improving on the products that are there. Someone told me, you know what, Catherine, everything that in this world has always existed. All what we are doing is making it better and better and better. Think about how people used to communicate long time ago. They used to send a messenger from one village to another. run all the way, maybe from whatever. And that's how messages used to be related across continents, And then after that, we build ships and boats, easier way of communicating. We build the two-horse, two-cart wheel transport. It became easier. And then after that, the aeroplanes came and stuff like that. The internet came. So everything is incremental. And if you think we've seen it all, think about 2030, 2040. What will we be doing by that time? So it's incremental. And are you grabbing those opportunities to position your company or you as an individual to be able to move on? An economic boom. We know that also a threat could be economic recession. So, but when there's an economic boom, that everything is happening, the world has more money and stuff like that, you're able to grab those opportunities and move your products in leaps and bounds. I read somewhere that the people have become more poorer. And I think that is true around COVID, during this COVID period. Individuals, every household has become, their purchasing power has been eroded worldwide. And even the biggest, the top richest people in the world, also their wealth has been eroded because of the economic recession that we went into because of COVID. Government deregulations, the government can come and say, well, we are removing some of the tariffs and some of the barriers to trade and grab the opportunity. The government gave some business reprieve for VAT from this percentage to this percentage. How are you grabbing those opportunities to be able to do better business and take your products to the market more easily? A decline in demand for a substitute product, and decline demand. So my product is better, that is, I'm playing good now. I'm the strongest. I'm the one running up with it. So take all these opportunities and see how you can run with them. Any reaction? Any opportunity that you have seen and grabbed with your bare hands? Anything? Okay, great. So what are some of the threats, and what does it mean to be in a threatful position as a business or as an individual? Threats are external elements, they come from there. You remember where the first slide where we talked about threats and how they come into being? External elements in the environment that could cause trouble for the business. Really, they are a thorn in the flesh completely. You wish they're a bad smell that won't go away. They're just here. They linger and you're wondering, what are you doing here? Who brought you here? But that's the truth of the matter, is that businesses will continue operating in troubling environments. External factors beyond an organization control, which could place the organization mission or operation at risk. Conditions in external environment that jeopardize the reliability and profitability of the organization's business. So those are the things that would cause the business not to thrive. And what are the consequences? Is that you find it very difficult to operate in that environment. You are constantly thinking about them, how can we overcome them, and what are some of the things that we can do? How have these threats, did we see them coming? And if we saw them coming, why didn't we address them? And sometimes they can be blame games, instead of focusing on the bigger picture, the threat that is at our door, we keep thinking, marketing didn't do this, HR didn't do this, finance didn't do this. We must stop the noise. Whatever around, let's look at the threat that is there. After that, I understand it, embrace it, and then before we go and say, who can assist, who's capable, who's responsible of looking into this threat, not looking at who caused it, who's doing what, and who's doing what. Okay. So you see, it's almost someone falling into a ditch, you know. Be careful. And then the threat, you know, it's like a time bomb waiting to explode. Poof, you know, stuff like that. So some of the examples of threats for an organization are as follows. Entry of foreign competitors. People are always coming. People always want a stake of your pie. I've been here very comfortable. I hear someone else who has come in. Oh my gosh. Who ever thought that I go to the supermarket and I just look at how difficult it must be for manufacturers to do business, and what is their product value proposition. How can they speak to me and speak to Morris at the same time? We go to the supermarket, we want to buy detergents. How many types of detergents are there? Many, isn't it? There's Omo, there's Ariel, there's Persil, there's everything that, but how do I make sure that, why do I choose one product over the other? Jeff, you've raised your hand. Promoted you to panelist. So how do I make sure that I choose one over the other? It must be so difficult. And sometimes the pricing is, they rival on pricing, which actually advantages the consumer. You know, there's always a promotion of this, there's always a promotion of that, you know. So do they all do the same job? I think they do. You know, the foreign, there's always a new product in the market. How much more can there be? I think there is enough for everyone. And I keep on saying a win for one is a win for all. Of course, you need to make money, you need to make profit to stay in business, but it's mind-boggling. I don't even know how they just think about all these products and how they are brought into the business. Jeff, you wanted to say something? Let me just check on the chat. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I grabbed an opportunity 4 years ago. I can share. Go ahead, Jeff. You can unmute yourself, Jeff. Okay. I've given you an opportunity to come into the panelist side so that you're able to share. So when you do that, then you can share. Feel free to time in and just share. Okay. So that is how it is. So introduction of new substitute products. What could be a substitute product? We found it here, even in the previous slide. You know, what would be a new product, substitute of a new product? Someone can give an example of a new substitute product. What's a substitute product? A real good example. An example?
Coffee and tea.
Coffee and tea, isn't it? Yeah, substitute. Another substitute product, that's a very good example.
Maybe Omo and sunlight.
Omo and sunlight, are those substitute products? They are the same products, but they do the same job, you know, soap and soap, that's soap and soap. But substitute is like, I can have, I have the option of having tea or coffee.
You can use this instead of coffee, yes.
Say that again, Sylvia?
I was saying a substitute is a product that you can use this instead of using that, and it's going to meet your need.
Yes, that it meets your same needs, yeah. Mm-hmm. Another example of a substitute product or a substitute service that can meet the same need. Soap and soap are the same products. If you have an internet provider, it's the same product. If you're using Safaricom Home Fiber or Zuku, Home Fiber, those are not substitute products. They are the same products on the same level.
Catherine, a service, you can opt to use Matatu PSV instead of using Uber.
Is that, how is that a substitute product?
Yeah, it is, in the sense that wherever it is that you want to go, whether you use Uber or Matatu, you're still going to reach your destination.
You're still going to use your destination. So just you're using a different, okay, yeah, you see where you're coming from. Mode of transport, different mode of substitute. A substitute could be like, instead, because both of them, Matatu and Uber, they are the same kind of technology, compared to I can choose to walk or drive or be driven. You get what I mean? Substitute. Of course, why am I substituting one product over the other? That is the big question. You get what I mean, guys? So I can choose to walk. If I'm walking from Westlands to town, it will take me how many minutes to walk? A brisk walk. It may take me like 30 minutes. It's not very far, honestly, from Westlands to CBD. I think it will take you 30 minutes. And then I can choose to drive or be driven or whatever mode of transport I will take. If I am driving, it will take me like 10 minutes. Let's say there was no traffic, or even when there's traffic that is decent and is flowing, it will take me like 15 minutes to go into town. But why am I making those decisions for substitute products? Preference, one, cost, lifestyle, all those kind of things, substitute products. They do the same, it will achieve the same thing. But why would I take one substitute product over the other? So those are some of the decisions that can be a real threat. If it's a high-end product, because I take this one because I want to be seen, brand, there's some people who are very high on brand. I only use branded products, I won't use anything that is not top brand, and of course, companies find niche there. And you say, well, the same product does the same thing, another substitute product will do the same thing. But again, people's preferences and choices, that's why. So thank you. Okay. Any comment there? Okay. There are some people who are just, if you have a market intelligence department, they go out just to collect market intelligence. They even go as far as going to the media houses, they have contacts at the media houses, they have contacts at registration of company certificates or whatever it's called, that department. And they know who's coming to the market. Who's coming to the market, what products are there? Let's say it's a big multinational like Unilever. Unilever is already here, and they manufacture consumer products and stuff like that. And let's say Procter & Gamble was not here, which it is. They will find out foreign competitors who are coming in, and then they will up their game. We hear, Procter & Gamble are coming. What do we do now? There's some companies who just have a way of getting whatever. Bank XYZ is coming, or Bank YZ are planning to merge. What does that mean for us? Now they're merging, they will have bigger base, they have more money, they have more client base and stuff like that. They're able to offer more products. So what do we do as a business? So it's important that you look at the threats on a day-to-day basis so that you are not left out, and to know what's going to happen to your business. Changing customer needs and tastes, don't they change all the time? Where do you see this happening in our country? We have no loyalty. We love it. After we are we've sampled it, we have gotten the experience, we move on to the next new thing. Examples are the changing customer needs and tastes. Where do Kenyans like this a lot? I see this a lot, especially with the younger generation. Around here. Someone? Someone there?
Yeah, maybe there was this time people were migrating from Safaricom to Airtel. And there was a huge wave in terms of people preferring Airtel as opposed to Safaricom. And then maybe after some time, some came back because they thought they saw, okay, this other provider has better network, better services, even in the rural areas, their network is vast. So they came back. So there was that change in taste and needs, and then flip.
We came back. We all shifted back, especially when they said you can migrate using your own number. You remember, it sounded very new strategies adapted by rival firms, change with your own number and stuff like that. I also see a lot of a new restaurant has opened. A new joint has opened, and everybody flocks there. The first week, everybody is talking about it. Everybody wants to be there when they sample it. Some stay, some move on. And then when the next big thing, the next big club is opened, that is where they flock. They stay there for a while and everybody is happy, really sampling it and stuff like that. In Afifia, where is the next big thing that is going to be opened? When we were growing up, using matatus, they were called manyangas, if you're in my whatever. This one comes up. We wait for it at the bus stop. We don't go. Wait for it even you're getting late for work. Who are those, And you come and it's packed and whatever, you still get in because you want to be seen there. And then when the next one comes, we abandon that one. And now we move on to the next one, So changing customers' needs and preferences. Your preferences can also change with your economic empowerment, your social status and stuff like that. So we need to know that those are real threats for an organization. Increasing government regulations, it's the same as opportunities when you deregulate. Here you are increasing, there you are decreasing. Economic slowdown, that really also affects your business because people don't have the same purchasing power as they had previously. Any question here? Jeff, do you want to give us your story about an opportunity that you grabbed? How did it look like and how has it supported you?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Catherine. I think 4 years ago, I was an accountant.
Yeah.
In this particular organization whereby we were in the finance team and we were doing our accounting. So our HR resigned and left. So that time I was trying to, we were just like 4 of us in finance. Then our directors met and they came up with a resolution. And I was called. And they told me, we have had a meeting, we have discussed, and we don't want to hire another HR right now because of the status. But we have observed and seen within the team that you are in here in finance, you are the one who can be able to take care of our HR needs in the meantime. Yeah. And I told him, but I don't have any HR skills. I'm just in accounting. I'm just an accountant. No. We know we've seen your how you handle people and all that. You can be able to do that. So they didn't even give me time to think so much about it. I asked myself, now here is either an opportunity or a threat. If I take it, what's the worst that could happen? Or if I leave it, what's the opportunity I'm missing, or what's the threat? So I thought about it in a flash, and they told me, no. How much time do you need to hand over your finance duties, 1 week, 2 weeks. In 2 weeks' time, because we were working as a team there, I was able to hand over and go to the HR office as an accountant with very little knowledge about HR, but people skills and the general skills. So I went to Google and YouTube and all that. I was able to learn a lot about issues to do with recruitment, training, orientation, and all that. So I familiarized myself with the same, and then I joined into an HR course, and that's how I took the opportunity to get into HR, and I loved it. I love it up to date. It's now 4 years down the line, and we thank God.
Fantastic. Well done, Jeff. And plugging into this kind of networks really sharpens your skills, and to go back and hear people's experiences. Well done. Well done. Yeah. It's nice to hear. And I'm always very pacified and very, very keen to hear what are some of those very strong competencies for someone to be successful in HR. And Jeff has actually alluded to it. I'm a people's person. A people's person really helps you, propels you to become more successful more quickly. But of course, there are all these other competencies that you need. They are the strong technical competencies that you need, no doubt about it. But being a people's person, really accelerates you to that, So just because people will always be around you, it's all about people's needs, expressed and not expressed, implied and not implied, real, imagined, whatever it is. So you have to really be self-aware of who you are. Your emotional intelligence, apt use of emotional intelligence helps you to excel a lot in HR, but also in every other career that you are in. So well done. Yeah, you grabbed it. Well, vis-a-vis. You didn't tell us that part, how much more money you got. Woo, Jeff, well done. I'm sure money came in a basket. It flowed over there, so well done.
Actually, on the contrary, Catherine, there wasn't any monetary change.
Yeah.
I'm trying to negotiate it with time, of course. The directors heeded to just a small percentage, but I really put my effort into it. I put my everything into it to see that the department moved from where it was to another level.
Fantastic.
And there was, I didn't, if the people around me were always telling me, whatever it is you're putting in here, I think it is just for tomorrow. I was looking also at tomorrow and the days to come. So after 2 years, I got another opportunity, and made me prepared now to get into the HR profession. And now I was able to apply, and at least I moved now from former employer to my current employer, which
fantastic.
Then the changes, as you are saying,
happened. Yeah, it's true. It takes some time to build your brand. I keep on saying, build your brand and the money will follow you. It's very true. I have seen that. I have really seen that. Build your brand and money will follow you. Well done, Jeff. Yeah. So patience also pays. So let's do a quiz. Which of the following is not a strength of business? Abundance financial resources, superior management, high production cost, good supply distribution. We've talked about strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and strengths. So let's try. Which is not a strength of a business? Can see answers coming in fast and furious. That's good. High production cost. Thank you, Maurice. Someone else? Do we all agree?
Yeah, we agree.
We agree, isn't it? Yeah, well done. I can see we are all on the same page. Yeah. So high production cost for sure. Yeah. is not a strength in business. It's actually a what?
A weakness.
It's a weakness. Yeah, it can also be a big threat. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so let's move on. We still got good chunk to Nini to cover, and I know we also want to have a hard stop at 11:30. So, what are some of the objectives of SWOT? The main objectives of a SWOT analysis are as follows. We make sure that strengths based on analysis of strategies, restrictions, and control and performance. You know, what's an objective? What's an objective? How can we define? Objective is to, you know, what's the meaning of an objective? What's an objective? How would we know? Just as the name implies, don't overthink it. An objective, a goal, something that we want to achieve. You know, my objective this year is to complete maybe my master's. My objective this year is to complete my CPA. My objective this year is to make sure that I join all the webinars that are run by ACHRP for me to learn and to get new skills and to interact with the participants. You know, that could be objective, you know. So the main objectives of a SWOT is analyzing the following, you know, under strengths. What will we be analyzing under strengths? We are analyzing the strategies, because if we don't have a strategy, how will we be able to unpack what is our strength? Reactions and control and performance. You know, now we have the SWOT, we have the company, and in the company we have all these things. We have strategies, we have processes, we are looking at performance, and are we able to actually analyze them within the four quadrants that we have? And the weaknesses are based on, we analyze strategies, restrictions, performance, and control at the same time, because they're the same things. My strengths and my weaknesses go hand in hand. So I'll be analyzing what are some of the weaknesses that can be found in my strategy. What are the restrictions and performance controls that are within my within my strategy, within my weaknesses? And then opportunities based on the analysis of, you know, the general environment. How is my environment looking? You know, my internal and my external environment. What opportunities are there? Industry environment and main competitors. And it is the same thing. Those are the things that we have actually now been talking about earlier on. Now, the main objectives and what's the need for me to analyze, and what will I be analyzing? The general environment. How is my general environment? There are too many players in this environment. They irritate me. I don't like them. They are there to stay. But what am I going to do about it? You know, the threats, there are my threats. You know, there are many competitors coming in, they're copying my business and stuff like that. How am I going to do that? You know, and grabbing those opportunities and making sure that you're actually running with them. Okay. So you need to understand that the threats based on analysis of the strategies are the same as the weaknesses and opportunities and strength. What am I analyzing in my SWOT, and how am I getting to understand the environment that I'm actually working in, and how I want to move forward for me to be successful in what I have set out to do, the main objectives that I have. Okay. So SWOT analysis is useful for various aspects from the perspective of the following. You know, a SWOT analysis, like what we have said, you know, we should be analyzing the strategies, the performance, the environment, the industry, and the competitors. Let's just understand that those are the big ticket items that we should always be bearing in mind, always knowing that I have a strategy. I have controls. I have to make people understand performance, performance of the company, performance of the brand out there. How am I perceived, and then so that let's call this the big ticket items that you need to analyze in a SWOT. And then for us to come in and say, how is this, the SWOT analysis, how is it useful for various aspects from the perspective of the following: from the job holder, from the business unit, and for the company as a whole. Me as an individual, because I work in this organization, what is the need for me when I'm analyzing the SWOT analysis that we have looked at? For a business unit, if you head the business or you work in that department, what am I supposed to be aware of? And overall, as a company, and we don't want to take this in isolation and say the owner of the company should figure it out. Half the time is what we say that, when we say that. Or the person who is heading the management team are the ones to be able to figure it out. We must bring ourselves, even you see the way it is actually even structured. It is me, my teammates, because we're in this department, HR department, finance department, quality assurance department, production, whatever department you are in. And then overall, the company, So for me to fully engage in this SWOT analysis, so what are my responsibilities when I look at the various aspects from the perspective of the following? And that's what we want to look at. Very important, okay? Thank you, Maurice. Goes with timelines. Yes, the explanation of an objective. Yeah, thank you, Joseph, as well. So from the job holder, the SWOT analysis is useful for the job holder when his supervisor has issued them with work output. Output, that's what we no longer are looking at input. And it's nice that we had discussed it from the beginning. I'm looking at the output for people when they have been assigned a new job, when they are faced with fresh targets. Sometimes we say these targets now, we feel that it's time for you to up your targets, fresh targets, not necessarily you're in sales, you'll continue selling. The targets have always been, well, by the end of the year, you need to have brought in sales worth 100 million, for example. But we have new products, we've created the environment, everything is okay. We say, you know what, John, time. How do you feel about it? Are you ready? Based on the SWOT analysis, that how about us increasing it to 150 million sales for the company? And then you come and say, 150. You do the SWOT analysis and come and say, boss, let's make 150. It's good enough for us to be at 150, I do understand. But realistically, let's up it to 120 million. And someone will ask you, the boss will ask you, so why 120? And I think 150. So you can also say, where have you come up with this figure of 150? And then they say, we've done a SWOT analysis and this is what it is and stuff like that. And then you come and say, I've also done my SWOT analysis, but I feel that you did not really put a lot of emphasis and you didn't collect the data and analyze the data of our competitors. I am the one in the, and then the boss will say, hey, yes, I see where you're coming from and whatever. So let's push it down to 120. So that is some of the things that a SWOT analysis, when you are given your responsibilities as an individual, will help you come up with discussions which are meaningful for you to be able to hold with your supervisor, and both of you are able to agree when the job holder seeks to improve his performance on the job. So many opportunities for us to be able to do what? To use the SWOT analysis for you to be able to become a valuable member of the organization. And if you feeling that you really are supporting the business and you do understand what is expected of you. Moving on, the business unit. The business unit is, the SWOT analysis is useful for a business unit when the team has not met its targets, discussions where we're not meeting our targets, analysis, what could we have done around our strategy, our competitor, our opportunity, our processes, around that, what is happening. When customer service needs to be improved, when launching of new business units to pursue a new business line, when the new team leader is appointed to the business unit, they need to understand my team. What's the objective of this department? What is the strength of every person? What is the weakness of every person in this organization, in this team of mine? How do they like to be engaged? How are they engaging with the others? What part do they play? So a very big whatever. And those are some of the analysis that they can take into consideration and do a SWOT analysis on. And then the company is useful. A SWOT analysis is useful for the company when revenue these are things that are no brainer. We've talked about them previously. When revenue, costs and expenses and targets are not being achieved, overall town hall meeting. Hey guys, good afternoon. How are you doing? CEO is addressing and saying, well, we are losing ground on our revenue. What could be the problem? We've analyzed and we see that we are not meeting the targets because of ABC, XYZ, and what we do. These are some of the things that we want to do. And also the CEO takes feedback and asks for feedback. What are some of the things you think that we can do so that it's interactive and everybody, then there's ownership. When the market share is declining, when the industry conditions are unfavorable and continue being unfavorable, and they can be unfavorable because of many things. New entrants to the market, people asking for other substitutes, many other things could come into play, the ones that we have discussed, and many others that you knew of. When launching a new business venture, people are launching new businesses and whatever, it's important for you to know. Did you know? SWOT analysis, someone read for us, give you an opportunity to read as well and participate in facilitating. I like that a lot. Someone just read what is on the screen. Just unmute, feel free. Yeah.
Let me grab the opportunity as well.
Thank you, Jeff.
Analysis is useful. It's not limited to only profit-seeking organizations. SWOT analysis may be used in any decision-making situation when a desired end state objective has been defined. Hence, it can also be used for decision-making in non-profit organizations, government units, and for individuals. SWOT analysis may also be used in pre-crisis planning and preventive crisis management. SWOT analysis may also be used in creating a recommendation during a viability study or survey.
Yeah, thank you very much. Very well articulated. So you remember at the beginning of our webinar where I said you can use SWOT analysis in every sphere of your life, in any situation, and every business, be it non-profit, be it corporate, for profit, be it the government, a SWOT analysis can be used. You as an individual need to do a SWOT analysis from time to time. It's a great tool and a great technique for you to be able to interact with because it's easy to use. You can plug in the factors and analyze them and come up with strategies and ways of doing things the way they should be done. So we cannot just isolate and say, oh, this SWOT analysis can only be used in for profit. That is where they look into all these things. Governments are threatened from time to time. How are governments threatened? What are the real threats that a government can get itself into? Think about governments worldwide, or even opportunities that governments can grab. Give us examples, especially threats that governments need to analyze situations. We have one at home recently. Anyone?
Terrorism is one, Catherine.
Terrorism is a big threat for any business, isn't it? Another threat, businesses, for government, sorry.
Catherine, I think also suicide, the level of suicide is a threat to the government. You need to analyze.
Yeah. The mental health of a country, and let's say mental wellness for a country. And in Kenya, we know it's a big threat right now that the suicide cases are going on and gender-based violence. You know, in isolation, we can say the health state of a nation. You know, what are the reasons as to why we have so many suicide cases, so many cases of depression, so many cases of people helplessness, you know, and where is it coming from? And then the government does analysis and says, well, the jobs are very few. Why have the jobs become few? You know, you start collecting data and you start thinking and processing, you know, what can we do about it? We need to speak more about it. We need to start stigmatizing it. We need to bring in the experts. We need people to seek for interventions. And those interventions must be found at the local level. Do we have experts, hospitals, when people go to hospitals to seek for these interventions, do they meet the correct doctors? You know, stuff like that. It's complex running a government. You know, but those discussions must happen at that level. If we are going to be faced with a terrorist threat, what would happen? Is it because we are not working very well with our neighbors, our borders porous, our people, the people in our country? Do they really feel patriotic enough? Am I a patriotic Kenyan? Do I feel that I can defend my country? Are we talking about diversity and accommodating divergent views from everybody? You know, the face of Kenya, how do we? So there are many things that a government can put in place. The other one is just this recent one, where a threat of Somalia border in the waters, you know, I was just like, is it that serious? Water is water. It flows from one side to the other going, you know, but there are demarcations of borders, you know. I must also respect that if that's the decision that our government has decided to take, to appeal, you know, the decision from ICC court to be able to look at where the waters end and whatever. It's as if we don't, you know, and you might take it lightly like me and say, but we don't live in that water, you know. We live on land. What is this water about? Maybe they know things that I do not know. And then when I say that, I shouldn't be judging. I say, maybe there is the blue economy that happens a lot. And there's a lot of discussion around the blue economy. And that is where a lot of businesses and opportunities can arise, you know, like when you are laying your sea cables, and you have an opportunity to increase your technology, leveraging on technology, you find, I'm not able to do that. I have to ask my neighbor who is Somalia to do that. So we can't take these things lightly. And also, if we are not working well with our neighbors, we won't have an opportunity for trade. So SWOT analysis must be done in every aspect of these discussions. I saw Mary. Mary, your hand is up. Please unmute and make your contribution.
Sorry, I think I just wanted to mention about economic recession, which can affect, of course, the global issue.
Yeah.
Of course, the issue of a pandemic, and you've seen where it has taken us.
Yeah, a big toll on people's lives, isn't it? People lost their livelihoods. We are still not out of the woodworks. A 24-hour economy, which we had actually adopted as a country, and also globally, people had adopted a 24-hour economy. It's very alive to what COVID has actually come and done, disrupted affected businesses, but how have we quickly reinvented ourselves? After the curfew was lifted, the media houses went out and just checked what's happening in the economy. The Matatu people said, I'm able to ferry people, people who are pushing their businesses late in the night. There was a nice Mama Mboga who in Nakuru County I saw, and she says, after 18 months, I sell maize in the evening. I roast maize in the evening. I've not been able to do that for the longest time possible. Now I'm able to build my business back again. I'm able to push it. And even when I close at 11 o'clock in the night, I'm still able to get the last matatu to go home. Just look at that, So we build the economy. She's made money for herself. The matatu is still operating to take her money. The matatu has also to ferry passengers. The matatu has also made money. So it's true. It's a snowball effect when we think about it. That it goes on. So it's important for us to do this SWOT analysis for us to be able to know where we should be. Okay. Anybody else? Thank you for those contributions. Always important. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So what are internal and external factors around a SWOT analysis? What are some of the things that we need to ensure that we are doing for us to be able to grab them? The aim of any SWOT analysis is to identify the key internal and external factors that are important to achieving the objective. These come from within the company's unique value chain. SWOT analysis groups key pieces of information into two categories, internal and external. What will we be analyzing? What is that data that we're analyzing? So we group them into two categories of analyzing that data. The internal factors and the external factors. The internal factors are the strengths and the weaknesses, like what we have had, internal to the organization. Then the external factors are the opportunities and the threats that are found in the uko nje. Opportunities are outside there. Threats are outside there. Internally, we are looking at who we are. We pride ourselves. We know, it's just like you as an individual. You know your strengths, you know your weaknesses, you know those things that really can affect you and always affect you in terms of achieving your full potential. Actually, that's the word I was looking for. Achieving your full potential. And then externally, I know these are threats. The same job I want to apply for, 1,000 people will apply for that job. How do I get that job? So those are some of the things that as an individual you can think about. So internal factors may be viewed as strengths and weaknesses depending upon their impact in the organization's objectives. What's our objective as an organization? What may represent strengths with respect to one objective may be a weakness to another objective. We can say we have this objective, but it also is a weakness, and we can look at those. We can try and look for really good examples around these internal factors, so that it's very alive to us. It's not just slides that we are reading, but what are some of the real key examples that we can bring up. It is essential to know that the internal factors are within the control of the organization, such as operation, finance, marketing, and other areas, including HR. These factors may include all the 4 Ps, as well as which are personnel, as well as 4 Ps. The 4 Ps are price. The 4 Ps are place. Remind me the 4 Ps. People, product, and please remind me the 4 Ps, as well as personnel, finance, manufacturing, capabilities, and so on. So let's try and unpack which could be an internal which could be something that is a strength, but also in another area could be a weakness. For example, in one aspect, an objective, you have a good objective that could be a strength, but also you really look at it as a weakness internally. Internally, for example, think even about, I will have given it away if I say it.
Internally, maybe empowering one employee.
One employee,
in the sense that, yes, it's a strength that that employee is empowered fully.
Yeah.
On the other side, it's a weakness in the sense that if that employee exits the company, what happens?
Exactly. In fact, that's the same example I wanted to give. You know, you have one employee who's very good, has the correct competencies, right attitude, and right skills and experience, who is holding a critical position in the organization. I'll even take it further, that they hold a critical position in the organization. Then all of a sudden, when you think about it, this is my strength, I have the best person in the industry. You have not started doing what? You know that the weakness is, if they were to leave, you would be left high and dry, isn't it? So that becomes a very, very critical element, a very critical weakness in your business. Very, 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 very. So that's something that you need to look into. Another one that can be, you think is a real good strength for you, but is a big weakness. Maybe also be seen as a weakness.
Yeah, for an example, specialization. If I'm to specialize in one area, that's a strength. And it can be a weakness if the dynamics change and I don't have the general competencies around other diverse areas.
Exactly. Let's say that in a good example, thank you, Maurice, you're only specializing in one area. We want to become a company that does more generalized business. You know, like let's say we were a training company. In fact, this is a good example. So SEHRP is known for training, and now they've decided to diversify their offering, that we can do HR consultancy as well. So all of us here are what? We've seen an opportunity that we can do HR consultancy. We can go all out to do all other things around HR, but all of us are just training experts. A big, that's our strength, and that's what we are known for. But clients now have been asking, do you offer more, whatever? And because all of us closed ourselves up to be whatever, there's no HR generalist, so it's a strength, so it's a weakness. So what happens is that the management might come and decide, you know, we only need two training experts. The rest of us have to, the 15 of us have to now go be retrenched, because the opportunities for that new business are at the door. They are knocking. In fact, they've already started putting in their first foot in. One foot is already in, and we don't have. So we have to go out to competition and look for people who are doing that kind of business. So it's important to know even that your strengths can also be looked, can also become your weaknesses. And what do you do as a business? You have to always be on top of your game, on top of toes, you know, to just say, well, what can I do? How am I looking at have I outlined my strengths? Have I outlined my weaknesses? Because, and how am I going to mitigate that? What are the risks that I need to mitigate so that I am not left exposed if anything was to happen? Okay. External factors, we said external factors are the threats, the opportunities and threats that you have. The external factors are out of the organization's control. You know, sometimes you don't have nothing, you cannot do anything, such as political and economic factors, technology, competition, and other areas. The pandemic came last year. What did we do? it was out of our control. All the plans that we had in place of meeting that year's targets, maybe they were thrown in a disarray, and we really needed quickly to regroup and find out how best we can control some of these external factors. External factors may include microeconomic matters, technological changes, legislation and social cultural changes, as well as changes in the marketplace or competition position, So some of those things can really mess you up. Let's just call it mess you up. This is what you wanted, but unfortunately, this is what the government has said. This is the legislation. If you want to open back your restaurant, you must only have a third of your capacity. A third, like the government said, you can only have a third of your capacity. While my restaurant could, 50 people could comfortably sit. Now they're only telling me that I can have a third of the people, and a third of the people is like 15. So what am I going to, the rest of the space is empty. It means that I can't push product, my product as much as I could. It means that my profits are going down. My profits going down, what means that people will go to other establishments. That also means that I have to cut down my expenses and I have to keep my costs down. What happens is that I have to let people go. So there are all those kind of factors that come into play. It also means that if I want to open my restaurant, I have to increase my operations cost. I have to send my employees for COVID testing every couple of weeks. Business expense, that is an expense that I never used to have. I have to put in more measures, maybe more hand washing stations. I have to invest in masks. I have to invest in thermal guns for people to take temperature and stuff like that. That's a business expense that I had not anticipated. Where does the money come from? That's the big question. Some of those things, technological changes, now nobody is coming in person. I have to leverage, I have to use technology. I don't have those platforms. I have to buy those platforms. So things like that. Okay. Any question there? Or examples or things that you did as a business that you were affected by external factors and you quickly had to regroup, apart from the ones I have said? Or if it was not even in the area of pandemic, maybe things that you did that affected you before as a business that you would like to share, and you had to do SWOT analysis and see how to best protect your business. Anyone who's got some examples to share? Some examples to share? Okay. So what are the SWOT quadrants? We said already we have the 4 that we know. So you can use the analyzing SWOT is done through referring as the analyzing SWOT is done through what is referred as a SWOT metrics. Examining companies' internal capabilities, its strengths, weaknesses, and external environment, that is its opportunities and strengths, help to create strategies that can proactively contend with the organizational challenges. A SWOT analysis is the first but critical step in developing an organization strategy. I'm always very baffled and horrified that we want to perform a strategy, even in all areas, whether it is in religious institutions, whether it is in government, whether it is non-for-profit, whether it is in corporate. We want to rush in and make sure that we have a strategy. It's as if it's something that is very, it's fashionable. A strategy is the binding reference for how you're going to do business. And from time to time, you have to unpack it and understand where you are at any given point in your business. Referencing it, and then that strategy, everybody, all the other departments are able to carve out their strategy on how to support the organization strategy. But we don't want to take time, and I'm so glad that we're having this discussion over the next 2 days as to how a SWOT analysis can help you as a business develop a real concrete organization strategy. We already know them. We have our gut feeling. This is what we need to do. But how about even just taking time? And you'll be the experts and the reference point and say, we can't do this. Let's do a SWOT. I'm not saying all the time, okay, let's do a SWOT event for a small little problem and whatever. What I am trying to say is that be very, very deliberate in some of the big ticket items that you have to do in your organization. Having done a SWOT analysis, then you have nothing to fear because you're able to do that. You're able to develop and move on. So hence you can use SWOT analysis to identify the areas where you have the most beneficial strategies and targets based on the current situation of the organization. For you to be able to come up with a real good strategy and move on as an organization. You analyze, you make sure that you examine your internal and external factors and then be able to discuss them and move on. So these are the 4 quadrants, quadrant 1, quadrant 2, and we want to look at the metrics that follows each. So there are 4 quadrants that represent the SWOT metrics. For short-term goals or objectives, the organization should focus on at least 1 or 2 quadrants. For long-term, it is advisable to include the goals coming from each of the 4 quadrants in order to create a balance. We'll have short-term goals, we have long-term goals. Even as individuals, we have short-term goals and long-term goals. Short-term goals could be anything between 6 to maybe 12 months, depending, and also on many other factors like your financial muscle, your ability to connect quickly with that objective that you want whatever to reach. Long-term goals, medium-term goals, maybe between 2 to 3 years, and long-term goals, anything up to 5 years, long-term goals. This is what I want to do. If for you to move on in life, you need to move, you need to progress as an individual. Progressing is not just natural progression, is age will come. Age from 0 years to 10 years. From 10 years, and you're doing things between that age. You're going to primary school. It's a natural progression. There are things that are expected by the society. You get, and sometimes you don't have to go through that grid. After 18, you can decide to take a totally different grid, and nobody should be able to judge you based on the decisions that you have made, as long as they don't inflict any damage or moral damage to the society. I think that is fine, and you're happy with them. But there are some things you have to be deliberate about. Let's say you want to buy your first car. How am I going to buy my first car? Have you done a SWOT analysis? Is it a short-term? Is it a long-term obligation? Obligation. If I want to buy a house, or I want to have a permanent home for myself, am I going to buy a house? Am I going to build a house? Within what time frame am I talking about? I want my children to go to this kind of school. How am I going to take that into consideration? What kind of planning am I taking? That's a long-term plan, 20 years. I want them to go to an Ivy League school, for example, or am I going to take them to local universities? Things like that. So there are some things that really need long-term planning, and it's for you. It's what is important for you. I want to have a master's by the age of 28, for example, or something like that. Or I plan to have my master's at 35. So you have to actually plan, short-term plan, long-term plan. That's the same. And that's the beauty of us being in this webinar, that we can be able not just to think about SWOT analysis for the organization, but also a SWOT analysis for myself. Because if I have analyzed my life, I'm also able to be a better employee, a more engaged employee, and a more plugged in and committed employee as to where I am working. Then I'm able to open my eyes a bit more and say, what is the organization doing? How can I help them? How are we doing our SWOT analysis as a department? You know, what value am I bringing? So those are the quadrants and the metrics that we want to have a look at before we call it a day for tomorrow. So quadrant number 1, who would like to read for us quadrant number 1? Just as what it is, just read as it is.
Okay, I'll read.
Yes, thank you.
Quadrant 1, internal strengths meshed with external opportunities, strengths and opportunities. Quadrant 1 will help the organization in formulating strategies by taking advantage of the strengths so that it can pursue the best opportunities as its very own disposal. This is especially important because there may be opportunities which may be present for a short period of time.
Exactly. How can we unpack it, Maurice? Strengths and opportunities under quadrant number 1. So facilitate this quadrant for us without having to put you in the spot, but I think it's fine. What's your view about this quadrant 1?
Yeah, I'm just reflecting on it. Just a second, Kathy.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Anybody else? Just quadrant 1, we said short term, you know, internal strengths matched with external opportunities. Think about that. It goes hand in hand. It synergizes like a glove that just fits in. My internal strengths, I can see the opportunities, you know, match them. Those external opportunities, you know, I am going to go, I have the strength. So those opportunities, I see them, I'm able to capitalize on them very, very quickly. So that's what we mean in quadrant, to help the organization in formulating strategies to take advantage of its strengths, to pursue the best opportunities that are out there. I am going to add a new product I have the strength to add a new product in my line of business. The opportunities out there. Nobody has reached northern Kenya. I am the one, I have seen that opportunity. I have done a business case study. I am the one to go there. By the time others know, I've already capitalized on them. I am the best person and I am going to take advantage of it. Okay, that's an example. Someone read for us quadrant number 2. Internal weaknesses relative to external opportunities.
Quadrant number 2, internal weaknesses relative to external opportunities, strengths and threats. Quadrant 2 helps the organization by formulating strategies by using its strengths in order to lessen or eliminate the threats that the organization is currently facing.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. You know, so you see here, it's strengths and opportunities. So be very deliberate. You know, I'm matching my internal with my strengths and opportunities outside there. Then I'm saying, aha, I have a strength, but I see a threat out there. How am I going to how am I going to control this threat? So I am very aware and alive to the fact that hawa wanakujia na haraka speed mbaya sana, that I need to do what? I need to be aware of. So it helps us unpack my strengths. This is who I am, a great brand. But, you know, there's some people, influencers, who can also start doing what? Hitting on my brand, because people are just like that. You know, nobody wants you to get ahead. You know, think of those people who never want you to get ahead as an individual. What do you do? How do you lessen that threat that can be brought to you in the organization? Quadrant number 3. Someone read for us. And you will now see the pattern. Anybody?
weaknesses and opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Quadrant 3 helps the organization through the formulation of strategies by opening up the opportunities along the road by reducing some weaknesses that are currently present.
Aha. So you see, now we have come to the internal factors of we knew our strengths and opportunities. We went with strengths and weaknesses. Now we've come to this metrics of our weaknesses internally. How are we matching them with our opportunities out there? So helping the organization to formulate our strategies to come up with opportunities alongside the road by reducing the weaknesses that are currently present. What are the weaknesses that we have? The weaknesses. Hey, we think that our there is some of our critical positions, we've not been doing what? We've not been looking at how to do succession planning. That's a current weakness that we have. So how do we mainstream? How do we bring in people to be able to do what? Take up these opportunities should our critical expertise decide to leave the organization? Are we ready? So start looking at that and being very aware. That's an example. Quadrant 4, would like to read for us Quadrant 4, please. Go ahead. Read for it. Yeah. Thank you.
Quadrant 4, internal weaknesses relative to external threats. Weaknesses in threats. Quadrant 4 helps in the formulation of strategies that will help in mitigating or even avoiding threats that has resulted from the organization's very own weaknesses.
Exactly. Thank you very much. Yeah. So we'll help in terms of really looking at the threats and being very deliberate. And you might ask, so how do we eliminate all threats? How do we eliminate all weaknesses? Unfortunately, we can, because we live in a very fluid environment. Things will come, we'll be thrown curveballs that we didn't even think of, but how can we hedge ourselves much better? Instead of just saying at gut feeling, when it happens is when we will look into it. We can't go on like that. We need to help formulate strategies that will help mitigate or even avoid threats. What are the threats? A new multinational is coming in. Okay, they're coming in. We can't stop them from coming in. But what have we done? We know that is a weakness. Will cause us to share our profits, split our profits, because people might want to go to that project. They have been waiting for it for a long time. But how can we leverage on that very quickly, that threat, and be able to leverage on that? Can we offer more products? Are we going to be mass production? Are we going to give more discounts? Are we going to get into partnerships, long-term partnerships? Think out aloud weaknesses of the weaknesses of your business and tie them with the threats that will be coming in. So this is a very difficult, this quadrant number 4. Can you imagine you have weaknesses and then you have threats? You're almost in ICU, isn't it? Guys, we can see that. If my weakness, I am so weak, and then there's also another threat. I'm almost crippled. But it is important for people to know that this is where the rubber meets the road. If you're not looking at your weaknesses and actually facing them head on and not sweeping them under the carpet and saying, yeah, on top of that, there are threats, then you've not really actualized yourself first as an individual, and then secondly, as a business. Because this is unpacking this and looking for strategies, formulating strategies that will mitigate these two areas. We are far from getting to where we want to get. So it's important for us to know that this quadrant can really be very difficult for any organization, and it will continue being difficult. But what can we do together as a team to be able to unpack that? So those are the 4 quadrants. Strength and opportunities, very good place to be. Strengths and threats, I have the threat, I have the strength. Bring it on, I'll show you. I'll push back, or I'll hold it with both hands. I'll grab the bull with both hands and be able to move on. Quadrant weaknesses, my weaknesses, but what opportunities are what are the potential of the opportunities that I have that can help me narrow down my weaknesses. And then finally, the very difficult one of the weaknesses and the threats. So if you don't take anything else out of today's one webinar, I would like you to take this as the SWOT metrics that really most of us, we do know about SWOT, but the quadrants of how we actually match them up, short-term goals, long-term goals, and how you match each quadrant, and what strategies will you formulate in those quadrants to make sure that your business continues to be viable. The very last one on how to create, so you've been able now to look at your metrics. You've appreciated that you've done a very good SWOT analysis. You've matched your quadrants very well. You've been able to formulate those, whatever. Now you're at cruise level. If anything, now you will just be looking back and saying, this organization, we don't play. We put it in perspective and we run with it. And there is no problem. You want to know my short-term goals, my long-term goals as a business unit, I've aligned them and we know where we are and we've unpacked it. So SWOT analysis on its own is meaningless unless it is backed by solid, well-defined action plan. It works best when parts of an overall strategy or a given context or situation. A simple strategy can be defined by using the 4A model. The 4A model stands for aim. What is the aim, or what is the goal or objective? We should always have a goal, an objective, a target. Assess is the SWOT, review the SWOT itself. Activate, identify the strengths and measures of success and use them to your advantage. And then finally apply, the 4A model. So the first one is aim. Always have an aim. What my goal, what's my strategy? Assess, I have a goal, but how do I assess is within the SWOT analysis and the 4 quadrants. And then activate. I can't just see they are formulated. I have made a lot of effort to actualize. Let me come out and actually activate. And then finally apply. And as you're applying, you're also making sure that you are reviewing, you're evaluating, you're getting feedback. So for you actually taking action to bring it alive. Okay. So any question? Any question? Let me give you a teaser. The 4A model stands for, all of us in unison. Is it A, B, C, or D? Is it A, B, C, or D? Before we call it a day?
It's a D.
Aim?
Yes, it's a D. Aim,
It's-
and apply.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yes. Aim, assess, activate, and apply. Well done. Well done.
you still there?
It seems we have lost Catherine.
Yeah. Unmute, Catherine.
Sorry, guys, my power went off.
All right.
Okay.
No
Sorry, my power went off. It just dropped, and I had to now use another device to try and come back quickly. So, and that's why I always want to have a phone number of one of the participants, just in case power goes off or something, I can quickly call and say what is happening in the background. Terrible, isn't it? Sorry about that. Yeah. So, feedback from today's session. Any question, any concern, any reaction? Was it useful? Is it useful? Anyone?
Yeah, very useful, Catherine. I think the way how you are walking us through, it's a detailed, thorough. You are not rushing us. You are going there. Some of the slow learners like us, we are even following conversation. Thank you for that.
Yeah, we're all together in it. Yeah. Thank you, Sylvia. I saw your hand raised up. You can unmute, yeah. Jeff?
Yeah, they are very informative. Thank you, Catherine. We've really learned a lot, especially in terms of now making strategizing for the organization, both for the individual and for the team and for the organization, the business unit, so that we don't become obsolete or be driven out of market like Kodak and the rest. Thank you very much.
Exactly. Isn't it? Thank you very much. Anybody else? Reaction or comment or something that you would like to comment on or a question? Okay. So thank you very much, everybody. Really nice interacting with you. See you tomorrow bright and early at 8 as we continue with the last part of the SWOT analysis. So think about SWOT for your department today. Think about what SWOT analysis you have done in the past to help you be where you are in terms of your strategy. Is it well informed? Do you feel it's going on in the right way? And if it is not, you can always take back the river a little bit behind and see one of the key pillars that maybe it's not going right, and be brave enough to tell the business, how about doing us a SWOT analysis and see with the data that we have to be able to really understand where we are and become better placed in the market. So I wish you a blessed rest of the day and see you tomorrow bright and early. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yeah. I'll end the meeting now for everybody.
Thank you.